This is the World Financial Report on radio with Harold Siegel. My name is Randy Marshall. Joining us on the telephone, our financial endowment expert, Harold Siegel. We're taping the show on March 22nd at 8:38 in the morning Mountain. That's 10:38 Eastern. Radio show runs News Talk 1010 in Toronto, 6:30 CHED in Edmonton, News Talk 770 in Calgary. We're on the radio. We're online. You can listen to shows on Harold's websites, rarecoloreddiamonds.com and HESradio.com. They're archived there. But you can also listen through our podcast, which is on iTunes. Type in World Financial Report on radio, and Harold's daily market commentaries there. Our shows are there. You can listen to them anytime you want. You can listen to them on your iPod, iPad, your iPhone. The radio show is portable. So keep that in mind. Harold's website's rarecoloreddiamonds.com, the company he recommends you use when it comes to investing in precious metals, gold, silver, platinum, palladium, is Worldwide Precious Metals. WWPMC.com is their website. Telephone number 1-866-623-2002. Rarecoloreddiamonds.com, telephone number 1-800-432-1022. What a crazy week it was. We'll give you a rundown right now, a short version of what happened. And this was happening in Cyprus. Cyprus's banks, like many banks in Europe, are bankrupt. Cyprus went to the Eurozone to get a bailout, the same way Ireland, Greece, and other European countries have. The Eurozone powers to be gave Cyprus a bailout with a startling condition that has never been imposed on any major banking system since the start of the global financial crisis in 2008. The Eurozone powers that be, mainly Germany, insisted that depositors in Cyprus's banks pay part of the tab, not bondholders. The depositors, the folks who had their money in the banks for safekeeping. And they were saying that accounts under 100,000 would pay 6.75% of the funds seized, and accounts over 100,000 would be 9.9%. Lots of Russian money in that country. They're on a bank holiday. There have been runs on ATMs. You can see pictures in our newsletter. On top of it, they are trying to figure out exactly what they're going to do as we tape this show. The EU has told them, you have until Monday to figure this situation out. It's very, very serious. In fact, it's almost unprecedented that someone would actually even recommend they do this. And that's why we have two quotes to start the show, Harold, that I think are very important from Rick Rule of Sprott USA. John Mulden says, own things they can't print. It's a very important lesson. If you happen to be a Cypriot and you had your money in gold, silver, platinum, or palladium, all of the events which took place over the last week would be obviously interesting to witness, but not relevant to your financial position. He says, do not trust in your government to look after you. Begin to trust in yourself. Yes, by all means, have some paper currency, but also financial assets that aren't simultaneously somebody else's liability. Own some bullion. It's very, very important. And the United States actually is taking money from bank holders. We'll talk about that after Harold gives us his commentary, Harold. But what a crazy, crazy week on the financial markets.
You better believe it, Randy. And again, very, very confusing for a lot of people, too, because we're hearing about Cyprus, but nobody really knows what the short and long-term ramifications are going to be. So all in all, it's a very confusing situation and very maddening, obviously, to think that the bank can go in and take away 10% of your money. That means if you got $1 million sitting in the bank, they're going to take $100,000. And the thing is that Cyprus is known for the depositors, which are mostly ex-KGB Russians, a.k.a. the Russian mafia. So basically, these bank presidents and people that work there are petrified that their life is in danger because of what's happening in that bank. But, you know, the bottom line is that when a bank can come in and do something like that and just arbitrarily steal your money, it's going to cause rioting, it's going to cause upheavals, and there's going to be a lot of problems in that area. But now people are concerned, saying that if it did happen there, is it going to happen in other banks in Europe, and is it going to happen ever in the United States or North America? So the bottom line is is that something like this has already happened. Don't forget last year with MF Global, that commodity brokerage firm in Chicago, it was an FCM, a futures commission merchant, and they hold on to clients' funds. When you trade in the futures market, your money goes into a segregated account. Just the same as when you're trading in real estate through your lawyer, your money goes into an escrow account. Those are sacred accounts, never to be touched, only for the safety of the client. And basically, what happened with MF Global is they stole the money out of the segregated account. They stole $1.2 billion, and it was never returned. So it's just like a bank. It's the exact same situation. And normally in those situations, the credibility of the futures market is at stake, and they still didn't return the money to the depositors. So it's a very, very concerning situation that's happening in Europe at this point, but similar situations have happened here in the U.S. and in North America. So we got to be very, very careful, and I do agree with the fact that we must look out for ourselves because nobody else is really going to do that for us. You don't want to only own assets that are printed. It's never been more obvious than it is right now. Obviously, we need to own cash, and cash is printed, but we need to own it. The funny thing is that cash can be devalued. Look at what happened last month in Venezuela when you woke up one day and found out you were 30% poorer because they devalued your currency by 30%. So there's things that the governments can do that hurt us tremendously. And if you have all of your money sitting in those type of assets that could be manipulated in that fashion where they can discount your currency and you could wake up being much poorer like they did in Venezuela, or they can steal your money like they did with MF Global, or any situation like that. I mean, look at everybody having their money back in the stock market at this point. If you're one of those people that have all your money in printed cash and printed stocks and bonds, you're in trouble. The same thing that happened in Europe could definitely happen here. Now, obviously, there's no way in the world that we could get out of the paper asset market totally. That's ridiculous. We need cash and we need certain assets. However, it would be a very smart and prudent move to own the type of assets that are not printed, hard assets that you own that are real assets like gold and silver and diamonds, and that's where a lot of the money is going to now. The markets, the commodity markets have not been exactly what we anticipated that we'd be for the last 18 months, but the fact is they're still holding in there very strong. Gold, as we're taping the show, still above 1,600. It's been above 1,600 for 3 days in a row now, and is starting to build a strong base again. We could wake up in the morning and find out that the price of gold is up $100, $200 easily. It's done that in the past. It could definitely do it again in the near future. Silver is building a base above $28. We traded as high as $29.14 for the last 2 or 3 days. I'm still very, very bullish on gold and silver. Now, the thing is, when I say follow the smart money, look what China and Russia are doing. China and Russia are buying all the physical gold that they can get their hands on. And it's not that China and Russia are speculators. It's not like they sit back and say, oh, we think gold's going to go up because of inflation or currency devaluation. We want to own gold, and the reason that they're doing that is to back their currency with gold. And I'm positive of that. So if China and Russia are buying up all the physical gold to back their currency, don't think that the U.S. hasn't done that in the past, too. The U.S. dollar was backed by gold at one time. So, again, follow the smart money. The smart money is going into hard assets. China also announced that they're going to try to buy 25% of the world's diamond supply. So that's where the smart money is going to. And again, if it makes sense for them to do it, it makes sense for us to do it. The thing is that what's happening right now in Cyprus is desperate. And the governments are desperate, and the banks are desperate, and desperate times bring on desperate measures. It makes you do things that you would not normally do, and that's what's happening in the markets right now. So, Randy, I'm very, very concerned about what's happening in Cyprus. It hasn't affected the financial markets in the U.S. at all, to an extent, but the fact is that doesn't mean it's not going to affect it in the foreseeable near future. And the thing is that we all know that Wall Street is leveraged extremely heavily. They're leveraged 20 to 50 to 1. And that's what happened back in 2008 when the markets crumbled. So the thing is, when you leverage by 20%, that means a 5% change in the market could take away all of your equity. So the thing is that all the markets are heavily leveraged as far as the banks and the financial firms go, and it's a repeat of what happened in 2008 when all of a sudden we woke up one day and found out that there was major trouble. We found out that the banks were basically insolvent, and we were in huge trouble, and people were lining up in front of the banks for hours and hours, petrified that they were not going to be able to get their money. And there was a run on the money market funds. We would have seen on that particular day $4.5 trillion taken out of the money market funds, meaning people were lined up at the bank, were going to take their money out in cash and bury it in their backyard or put it in their mattress or whatever they were going to do, but they just didn't trust the banks anymore. And if it wasn't for the FDIC, which is the insurance branch of the government that guarantees personal bank accounts. Now, in the United States, if you have a bank account, or did in 2008, it was guaranteed for $100,000. Means that if the bank went insolvent and you had $100,000, you would get back all of that money. But let's say you had $200,000 in the bank, you would lose $100,000. You were only insured up to $100,000. So realizing that people were going to take their money out of the banks, and that's what they were lined up to do, the FDIC, the insurance company, decided to raise the insurance from $100,000 to $250,000, and that calmed everybody down. For some reason, we believed at that point that our money was safe, and it was at that point, and they raised the insurance up to $250,000, and that stopped the run on the banks and the money market funds at that point. Now, we've got these banks that are desperate again. They're back in the same situation. They've leveraged 20 to 50 to 1, meaning they have basically no leverage in their position, or no equity in their position whatsoever, and now we're back in a very troubling time again. My strongest suggestions at this point: you cannot, if you lose your money at this particular point, unless you're in your 20s and 30s, there's very little chance of you making that money back again. If you've got your money sitting in paper assets only, you are taking such a gigantic risk that we could wake up tomorrow and find out that you've been wiped out financially. And why in the world would we want to put ourselves in that position? You know, the fact is that we've got to look out for ourselves, because nobody else is going to do that for us. We got to keep some money in cash, and there's no doubt that people are not going to sell all of their stocks. But what is wrong with taking some of your money that is at risk in the stock market and the mutual fund market and put it into some physical gold? China and Russia are doing it, or put it into physical diamonds, and they're doing the same thing. Again, don't put yourself in a position where we could wake up one morning and find out that you've been wiped out. Again, as we're taping the show, gold is basically spent 3 days above the 1,600 level. It's building a strong base. That was gold. Silver is holding in there also above $28. You got the oil market that's up one day and down the next, but we're still trading at $93. We're up 90 cents today. The U.S. dollar is down 21 cents at 82.59. It's only a matter of time until the U.S. dollar breaks down. And also one thing, don't forget what happened in Venezuela. They woke up one morning and found out that they were 30% poorer because they devalued the currency by 30%. The same thing is happening in Europe, and the same thing can happen here in North America. If you keep all your money sitting in paper assets, you're putting yourself at risk. And again, that's not what we're about here. We're extremely conservative. We don't take unnecessary risks, and you definitely want to diversify yourself into some hard assets that will definitely protect you against the onslaught of what's coming up.
This is obviously a very serious situation, but one of the key points is this is a small, tiny little country, and we have a picture of it in our newsletter on a map. 1 million people, tiny, small little country. And look how it has scared people. Just imagine if it was a bigger country like Spain, Portugal, Italy, Greece. You know, it really makes you think how serious the financial situation is when they're so worried about a tiny little country. And I guess there's huge concern regarding banks from Germany and France that have money in there. Cyprus did go to Russia and ask for help, a bailout. Russia said no. Now is the time to invest in hard assets, gold, silver, platinum, palladium. The company Herald recommends you use. They will educate you as to why you should have your own precious metals investment account. Worldwide Precious Metals, www.pmc.com, their website. Telephone number 1-866-623-2002. Get our newsletter this week from Worldwide. It is a must-read. It will take you through the entire Cyprus situation. And don't forget, when you have your own precious metals investment account, you have instant liquidity in and out of the market with a phone call, secure storage insured to the full value of your investment, 24/7 online access, and you'll have the full use of a specialist from Worldwide. They specialize in precious metals, gold, silver, platinum, palladium, wwpmc.com. The telephone number 1-866-623-2002 is John Malden says, own things they can't print. For those that have gold, silver, platinum, palladium, diamonds in Cyprus, they're not worried whatsoever. But the point I wanted to make is that this is really happening all over the world, and it's happening in the United States too. They are taking money out of our bank accounts. They are taking money from us by debasing currencies. Our money is worth less. But forget Cyprus. Nobody is stealing from depositors more than Ben Bernanke. After the Federal Reserve reaffirmed its easy money policy Wednesday, they kept interest rates low, continued to with the quantitative easing of $85 billion a month. Chairman Ben Bernanke was asked whether the United States would even think of taxing bank depositors as Cyprus has done. He says that was very unlikely, but Jim Rickards, who wrote a book called Currency Wars, Senior Managing Director of Tangent Capital Partners, you see him on Bloomberg and all the different financial channels, says the Fed already has its hands in depositors' pockets. Nobody is stealing more money from bank depositors than Ben Bernanke, says Rickards. Bernanke's doing that by maintaining interest rates near zero. At this stage of a recovery, interest rates should be around 2 to 3%. Apply the 2 to 3% to the entire multi-trillion-dollar deposit base of the United States, and that's $400 billion per year wealth transfer from savers to bankers so they can pay themselves bigger bonuses or make even crazier bets. Over time, Rickard says the wealth transfer could reach $100 trillion. Harold, it's called financial repression. And we're seeing it with low interest rates, quantitative easing. And this is why we're saying protect yourself with hard assets. Own something they cannot print. Do not trust your government to look after you. You need to start trusting in yourself and take care of yourself, because now is a time where governments are going to look after themselves, and we need to take care of ourselves by having hard assets.
Better believe it, Randy. Again, that's a fiasco when you really think about it. Bringing interest rates down to zero is like stealing, especially from the seniors and the savers, because the fact is that most people, especially when they're getting ready to retire, you're in your 60s or 70s, you can't take the risk of keeping your money in a mutual fund or a stock anymore because of what happened, so many times in the past. So the fact is that with interest rates basically at zero, you put your money into the bank and you want to retire one day, you can't. Again, I remember my mother, when my father-in-law passed away, and he left my mother-in-law a $500,000 insurance policy. So at that point, interest rates were at 10%, and at $500,000 at 10%, she was able to live off of $50,000 a year, which was fine for her at that point. However, interest rates started to drop, and they dropped down to 2%. So instead of living off of $50,000 a year, now she was living off of 2% of $500,000 or $10,000 a year. How do you go from living off of $50,000 a year to living off of $10,000 a year? And now it's even lower than that. So obviously this is a major problem, and in essence, that article is true. What we are doing is we're penalizing people that have done the right thing and saved their money, but now they can't make a living, and they're almost forced to go back into the futures markets and into the stock market primarily in order to try to make some type of income, which is just like a gambling casino. So, again, it's almost a catch-22. I feel terrible for the people in that position. But, again, what's going through at this point, you cannot depend on the government to do the right thing for us. We're really out for ourselves, and we really have to watch what we're doing personally and make certain that we don't wipe ourselves out.
Speak with Worldwide Precious Metals, the company Harold recommends you use when it comes to investing in gold, silver, platinum, palladium. Start your precious metals investment account today. Let them educate you as to why you should protect yourself against a Cyprus-type event all around the world at some point. 1-866-623-2002. The website is wwpmc.com. It's interesting. Get our newsletter from worldwide as well, because this week we have some amazing stories that you must read. In fact, from Sprott Asset Management, Eric Sprott has come out and said, the current financial system will end in ruin. Read that article. Also, we have another article from Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, and he was a former U.S. Treasury official. He says the U.S. financial system to collapse. He is very, very concerned. In fact, Rick Rule, who we mentioned off the top of the show with a couple of quotes, he says, is the United States the next Cyprus? What just happened in Cyprus was the surface manifestation of an underlying problem. Theft to a much greater degree has been going on in the United States for the last 6 to 7 years. The suppression of interest rates in the United States is the exact same thing. The government has penalized people who have done the right thing for 30 or 40 years and have saved and accumulated wealth. They have penalized these savers by manipulating interest rates down and depriving those people of their rightful benefits from their savings. We are talking about lost interest here. Yes, what happened in Cyprus is tragic and represents theft and the transfer of obviously one person's wealth to another. But the fact is, the Americans shouldn't look at it as a problem just in Cyprus. Americans have to look at the fact the same problems have been made here in their country. In addition to the fact that the promises won't be kept, the theft is just taking place right here, right now in the United States to a much greater degree. Cyprus, for you and I, is a prologue or an example of what has been happening under our nose for the last 5 to 6 years. And Harold, we have about a minute left in our segment, and we reiterate that again. Protect yourself. Have hard assets. We'll talk about diamonds here shortly, some exciting diamond news this week. But protect yourself, protect yourself, protect yourself. That's what we're saying.
You bet. And desperate times bring on desperate measures, and we don't need to be desperate. We need to be smart, and we don't want to deal in emotion. We just want to deal with logic, and logic tells us to be very conservative at this time.
Speak with Worldwide Precious Metals right now. Call them at 1-866-623-2002. 1-866-623-2002. Their website is wwpmc.com. Let them educate you as to how you can protect yourself with hard assets. Have that insurance policy in your portfolio today. Start your own precious metals investment account. It's liquid. You can get in and out of the market with a phone call. Secure storage insured to the full value of your investment, 24/7 online access, and you'll have the use of a full-time expert in precious metals. Go to their website, wwpmc.com, the telephone number 1-866-623-2002, and get our free weekly newsletter from them as well. This is a week where you want to read the articles and educate yourself. You spend a lot of time working hard for the money that you have. Don't have it go away on you through bad investments or through lack of knowledge. Educate yourself. That's why we do the show. That's why we have the newsletter, and we want you to obviously take advantage of it. 1-866-623-2002, the website, wwpmc.com. It was a great week for diamonds, and we will talk about the diamond market as the World Financial Report on radio with Harold Siegel and me, Randy Marshall, continues right after this. Welcome back to the World Financial Report on radio with Harold Siegel. My name is Randy Marshall. Joining us on the telephone, our financial and diamond expert, Harold Siegel. We're taping the show on March 22nd. My sister's birthday tomorrow, so happy birthday to her. Harold's grandson having a birthday today. We're taping the show at 9:04 in the morning Mountain Time, 11:04 Eastern Time. Radio show runs News Talk 1010 in Toronto. Also, we're on in Edmonton, 630 CHED, News Talk 770 in Calgary. If you ever miss a radio show, don't forget, we're on the radio, we're online. They're archived on Harold's websites, HESradio.com and RareColoredDiamonds.com. We have a podcast as well through iTunes. Go to iTunes, type in World Financial Report on radio. Harold's daily commentary is there. It's on his websites as well. And we're portable with the iPhone, the iPad, the iPod, on your computer through iTunes. Our radio show goes anywhere you do. To invest in precious metals, start your own precious metals investment account. with what's happening in Cyprus. It's a huge wake-up call to have hard assets in your portfolio. Speak with the company Harold recommends you use. Worldwide Precious Metals, their website, wwpmc.com. wwpmc.com. The telephone number, 1-866-623-2002, 1-866-623-2002. To speak personally and privately with Harold about investing in diamonds. RareColoredDiamonds.com is the website. The telephone number, 1-800-432-1022. 1-800-432-1022. Don't forget, Harold has a major online seminar April the 3rd at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. That would be 6 o'clock Mountain Time, 8 Eastern. Go to RareColoredDiamonds.com, click on the banner, sign up, and be a part of this amazing free seminar online April the 3rd. Our featured diamond of the week. Go to RareColoredDiamonds.com, click on Featured Diamond. You can see it in our newsletter. This week's diamond is a 1.49 carat oval cut, fancy, vivid, yellow, internally flawless. This diamond is absolutely stunning. You can see video of it in the newsletter. You can see a picture of it in the newsletter. See video online at RareColoredDiamonds.com. And Harold, one of the great stories we have this week, and this is a must-read story for all those that are invested in diamonds and those that might be invested. Pink diamonds, diamonds that are not forever. And you're saying, what do you mean? Diamonds are forever. Well, this story is not saying that. What they're saying is these pink diamonds will not be around forever because the Argyle mine is coming to an end. It will be exhausted by around 2020. As a result, these amazing pink diamonds will no longer be around. Only the people that have invested in them, that have them in their safety deposit boxes, on rings, have them stored away securely, those will be the ones that make out like bandits, Harold, we believe, because this is an amazing investment opportunity over the next 6 to 5 years. Pink diamonds, they are going away. We've talked about this before, but this article is a must-read for all the people that are investing in diamonds and those that want to invest in diamonds.
The seminar is on April the 3rd. It's at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. You can watch it from the comfort of your own home on your laptop or on your computer. You just go to RareColoredDiamonds.com, RareColoredDiamonds.com. Sign up for the seminar. It's totally free of charge. It's going to be about an hour, and it's going to teach you everything you need to know about an asset class called diamonds. So we're going to go through everything, where diamonds come from, how they're mined, how they're cut, how to read a GI report, what colors are stronger than others, what cuts are better than others, and then showing our collection and everything else with it. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have over 1,000 people worldwide signed up so far. That should give you an indication how important this asset class is. To own a diamond at this particular point, a certain type of diamond, is one of the most important assets you could own. And with what happened in Cyprus this week and what's possibly happening with other banks around the world, you do not want to have all of your money sitting in cash or in paper assets, where an asset like an Argyle pink diamond can just absolutely skyrocket in price because there's not going to be any more of them. So, again, attend the seminar. It's totally free of charge. We don't charge our clients for information. We never charge for the radio show, for newsletters, for seminars that I come and do personally, or seminars over the Internet. We want you to have the information you need to make an intelligent business decision. Seeing that we're starting off with Argyle pinks, they're amongst the most important asset that you could own at this time, and one of the best investments you could ever make, because the mine that produces them, the mine that produces 95% of them, the Argyle mine, is getting ready to close. They're going to try to keep this mine open as long as possible, but every indication is it's going to close in 2018, which is only 5 years from now, and then give it 2 years for all the diamonds to run out, and there will not be any more pink diamonds per se, and the prices should increase 8 to 10 times what the prices are today. 8 to 10 times. You know, you put your money in the bank, and you're struggling to make 1 or 2%. You put your money in the stock market, and you're petrified that you're going to wake up in the morning and find out that the market's down a couple thousand points. points. That's no way to live anymore. And again, if you're in your 50s, 60s, or 70s and you lose your money in the paper asset markets at this time, you're never, ever going to make that back again. It's just way too difficult. So again, you want to diversify. We realize that you're not going to do without cash. That's impossible. We realize that you're not going to sell all of your stocks and mutual funds because you need to be diversified and there are tax reasons. But you want to put some of that money, you want to take some of that money that is at risk and put it into a safe asset. Number one, an asset that never falls in price, but number two, an asset that could give you a gigantic return, and that's the Argyle Pink Diamond markets. Right now, you could buy an Argyle Pink Diamond for about $20,000, a minimum diamond. That diamond in 10 years from now could be $200,000. So you show me any other investment that can give you that type of return with the safety that you have in the diamond market. If you buy a $50,000 Argyle Pink and wait 10 years, you could get back as much as $500,000 or more on that diamond. So again, it isn't only about capital preservation, it's about putting your money in an area that's safe and that can give you an alternative investment that isn't paper. You know, the people in Venezuela, last month I woke up one morning and found out that their currency was devalued by 30%, means that you wake up and you're 30% poorer than you were when you went to bed. What a devastating situation. You don't need to be in that situation. There are certain assets that can give you that type of return and safety that you need, and that's the rare colored diamond market. So with the fact that the Argyle mine is going to close, that 95% of the world's pink diamonds are going to be gone, and by the way, in this article that Randy spoke about, they talk about how rare these diamonds are and how you take a full year's production of pink diamonds and pour it into a teacup and it doesn't fill the teacup. That's how small this market is, but it still represents 95% of the world's pink diamonds. The other thing is that how do you sell these diamonds? It's been an old situation to where you buy a diamond, you go into a jeweler, you buy a beautiful diamond ring, 10 years later you want to sell that diamond and you go back to the same jeweler and either he won't buy it back from you or he's going to offer you less than what you paid for it. So how in the world could a diamond be a good investment if you can never resell them? And the fact is that has always been a problem in the diamond business. Myself, I've always been in the investment business for the last 35 years and looked at this market and looked at history and found out there are times when diamonds have skyrocketed in price. For example, 1979 and 80. When we had high inflation and gold went to 800, diamonds went up 500% in 2 years. Now, how do you sell them? Well, we created the secondary market that resells diamonds. I own a company called 8 Siegel Fine Auctions, and its sole purpose is to resell our clients' diamonds worldwide. We've incorporated this company in Panama, in Central America, in Hong Kong, and in London. And the reason that we did this is to offer our services all over the world to high net worth individuals that invest in these type of products. You know, most of us are collectors of some type, whether it's sports memorabilia or diamonds or gold coins or stamps or art. But there's never been a true way to resell these high-end collectibles until we built 8 Siegel Fine Auctions. We sold Oprah Winfrey's pink diamond necklace for 4 times what the client anticipated getting for that. We've also sold 100% of the diamonds that we put up at auction at the last auction. We now have buyers all over the world that look forward to our auctions, and the reason that they do, number one, is they're getting tremendous assets at good prices, but their currency is worth more than the U.S. dollar. So when a diamond sells for $100,000 U.S. dollars, they don't have to put up 100,000 British pounds. They only have to put up 60,000 British pounds to accomplish a $100,000 purchase. So they save 40% on their purchase by using their currency. That's why I incorporated my companies in areas where their currency is stronger than the U.S. dollar, to give them a break and to give our clients the best opportunity to sell their diamonds at a great price. So again, the Argyle Pink Diamonds are probably amongst the best investments you can make at this point. We just spent $40 million with Argyle and bought all of the next 2 years of production. So if you are going to invest in Argyle Pinks, you're more than likely going to do it through our firm. But you should know who we are. We're 4th generation miners and cutters. Means that we mine our own diamonds in most cases, and we cut our own diamonds in Antwerp and in Israel. Now, what normally happens after that point, Once a diamond has been cut and polished, it's sent to New York to the Gemological Institute of America, GIA, where they're graded for their color and their clarity and their cut and everything along that lines. You never buy a diamond that is not graded by GIA. Then what happens is when the cutter gets these diamonds back, he gives them to their salespeople, and their salespeople sell to dealers around the world, and the dealers normally sell to retailers, and the retailers mark them up 200, 300, 400%. So by the time the end user gets that diamond, the price is extreme, because the jeweler has his expenses and his showroom and everything like that, and salespeople, and the prices are 300, 400% higher. We don't do that. We're miners and cutters, and we sell directly to the end investor. We don't sell to dealers. We don't sell to jewelers. We only sell to the investor. And that who is our responsibility is to our clients that invest in our diamonds. And that's why we built 8 Seagull Fine Auctions. So, Randy, I'm very proud of what's happening in the diamond business. I'm very proud of the fact that most of my clients are sitting in yellow flawless, argyle pinks, and D flawless diamonds. Those are the 3 best diamonds to invest in at this point. Yellow flawless diamonds, they double every 4 to 5 years. They go up by about 20 to 25% a year. They never ever fall in price, but they have to be flawless, and that's all we carry is flawless yellow diamonds. The argyle pinks can return 8 to 10 times. They start at about $20,000 and go up from there. And then the deflawless whites are used as currency in Europe, and they are negative correlated to the stock market. Means when the stock market drops 50%, these diamonds have gone up 50%. So again, Cyprus banks, we all know what happened now. Last month in Venezuela, they devalued their currency by 30%. Don't let this happen to you. Take some of your hard-earned money and put it into an asset that you own outright, that you hold in your hand, that is not paper, and that is gold, silver, and certain diamonds. And that will not only get us through these difficult times, but put us way ahead of the 90% of people that are doing the wrong thing in the investment market.
And people have to remember back, too, I remember talking about this on our show, Northern Rock, the bank in England, taken over by the government, there was a run on that bank because people felt it was going to go bankrupt. And they stopped it by the government taking it over eventually and saving it. But people were lined up at that bank, Northern Rock. We also had a story, Rogie Vachon, famous goalie for the Los Angeles Kings, in management there at one point. There was a bank in California, and he was concerned that his bank in California was going to go out of business. They interviewed him as he was standing in line to get his money out through the bank and an ATM machine. This is something that we have experienced in North America very, very recently. Now's the time to protect yourself. Speak with Harold, rarecoloreddiamonds.com. Educate yourself about this rare diamond market. Telephone number 1-800-432-1022. And don't forget, the seminar coming up is a must-see seminar, April the 3rd at 8 o'clock Eastern, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. rarecoloreddiamonds.com seminar. Go to the website, sign up for it. It's absolutely free. There's a banner there. Click on the banner, and you can fill it out. Sign up for the seminar, 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain, April the 3rd. We have a great story on pink diamonds that's a must-see. Get that from Harold. We also have a story on China. China may buy 25% of diamonds in the next decade. China may comprise a quarter of the world's diamond sales in a decade as they supplant the United States. The United States could fall to about 30% of the market, according to De Beers. And Harold, we had a report, and I would encourage people to read it. We can send it out to them. It was from Bain & Company. And they did an extensive report on the diamond market around the world. And they said that the Far East, Asia, obviously China, and India, they were going to be buying diamonds in a way that they had never done in the past. Obviously, they buy gold and silver, but they would be moving into diamonds. As a result, with the supply-demand dynamic going forward, it was going to be very, very bullish for diamonds. I would like people to take a look at that report. We can send it to them. But you take a look at what's happening around the world with obviously the situation in Cyprus, the supply-demand dynamic with hard assets like diamonds. It's a very positive situation for those that are willing to commit investment dollars today.
Exactly, Randy. And again, you got to follow the smart money. The reason that China and Russia are buying all the gold that they can is because they're going to back their currency with gold. The reason that China is buying all the diamonds and Russia owns a lot of diamonds is for the same scenario. If it makes sense for them to do it, it's got to make sense for us to do it. If we believe in insurance, and again, when you read the financial pages, especially this week, when you look at the financial newsletter, the World Financial Report, you're going to read from extremely credible people some very frightening reports. And most of them are saying that there's a chance that the financial system, the way that we know it, could collapse. Again, if the banking system falls like it is in Europe and possibly in the U.S., that's the whole basis of the money system. So the fact is that if it does go down, the fact is that a lot of people are going to be in obviously huge financial trouble. They're going to lose a major part of their net worth. It doesn't make sense to keep all of our money sitting in paper assets. So at this point, diversify. Just take some of the money that is at risk and put it into the type of assets that at least you hold in your hand, that you own, that if God forbid you ever needed to start again or go somewhere and sell this asset in Europe or Asia or whatever, that you have the wherewithal in which to do that. And we've set up our business in which to do that. We own 8 Siegel Fine Auctions. We've incorporated the company all over the world for the right for our clients to be able to get other currencies other than the weaker currencies in North America. So again, we'd love to do business with you. There are times that every market has its own time. And basically the stock market back in the 90s was the market to be in. But it's not now. It's way too risky, and we could wake up any day and find that the market has dropped 2 or 3 or 4,000 points, and then again you're scrambling to save whatever money you can. Just do the smart thing and diversify, and you're going to sleep a lot better at night.
RareColoredDiamonds.com. That's how you connect with Harold. RareColoredDiamonds.com. Speak with him personally and privately over the phone if you prefer at 1-800-432-1022, 1-800-432-1022. Don't forget, he has an online seminar April the 3rd, 8 Eastern, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and we encourage you to sign up at RareColoredDiamonds.com. For those that might have missed this news last week, Harold has spoken about D-Color Flawless Diamonds, and he was really the one that brought our attention to this market because he did it in the past with colored diamonds. Now he's done it again with these D-Flawless, and wouldn't you know it, there was a major story that Bloomberg had. In fact, there is a colorless diamond that may fetch $20 million. A pear-shaped colorless diamond is estimated to sell for $20 million at auction in Switzerland. Harold has talked about these diamonds. The D-Color Flawless Stone weighs 101.73 carats, will feature at an auction at Christie's in Geneva, May 15th. It's the largest colorless stone of this optimum grade to appear at auction and sold by a client who wishes to remain anonymous. This is the first time the gem has appeared for sale, and the buyer will be able to name it. And they go on to say the stone was recently cut from a rough diamond weighing 236 carats. It was found in Botswana. It took 21 months to polish. Demand for the rarest diamonds as an alternative asset and portable store of value has pushed up prices in recent years. We've talked about that for years on this show. At the top end of the market, white stones are regarded as less desirable as they're even rarer color equivalents. The record price for a gem at auction, $45.4 million. That's in U.S. dollars, $45.6 million, paid by London dealer Lawrence Graff for a 24.78 carat emerald-cut fancy intense pink at Sotheby's in Geneva, November 2010. The record auction price for a colorless stone was $21.5 million at the time U.S., with fees paid. It was for a 76.02 carat Archduke Joseph diamond at Christie's in Geneva, November 2012. Harold, you brought to our attention this very rare colorless diamond market, and there's a real huge opportunity here as well.
You bet there is. In fact, we're doing presentations for financial firms on diamond as a new asset class, and it's all about D-Flawless white diamonds. So in Europe, they consider them currency. The firms in Luxembourg that have backed this new fund that is trading in Europe now is all based on 1 to 5 carat, round, brilliant, deep, flawless, triple excellent diamonds, and those are the diamonds that we cut for the fund. So you can, where you can't participate in the fund being in Canada or North America, you can accomplish the same thing by just buying a deep, flawless, white, triple excellent diamond, and they go up by at least 25% a year. And the reason that the firms in Europe were so comfortable with them is that they're negative correlated to the stock market. Means in 2008, when the Dow dropped by 50%, these diamonds went up 50%. So you can literally hedge your stock portfolio using a diamond, and it would have to be these deep flawlesses, but they're magnificent, they're perfect, and they represent 0.001% of the market. The only thing is they're about 10 times the price of a normal white diamond, but you certainly get what you pay for, and when you own one of these deep flawlesses, you've got something very, very special.
Harold Siegel of RareColoredDiamonds.com. He announced his next online seminar April the 3rd at 8 Eastern, 6 p.m. Mountain. Sign up for that seminar right now at RareColoredDiamonds.com. Our featured diamond of the week, go to the website, click on Featured Diamond of the Week. You'll see it's a 1.49 carat oval cut, fancy, vivid, yellow, internally flawless. This is an absolutely stunning diamond. You can see video of it online, and obviously a picture of it in our newsletter. I encourage you to get our newsletter this week. We have some outstanding stories on diamonds. You can speak with Harold at RareColoredDiamonds.com or 1-800-432-1022. And Harold, I would really encourage people to take a look at that Bain report. I know we had it in our newsletter in the past. I'm going to send it to you again to send out to those that may be interested, because it's a very comprehensive report on how the Far East is going to really drive the diamond market in the future. We know that they've been very interested in gold and silver for a long time, but now they're starting to become very interested in diamonds. In fact, the people at De Beers said that the Chinese in the Far East, they like symbols, but they like to show off their symbols. And what better way to do that than to have a diamond on your finger or around your neck or on your ears as a symbol of not only maybe love, but wealth. And this is something that is really starting to catch fire in these Far East markets.
So happy about it, too, because, again, it is an amazing market. I've been in the investment business 35 years, and I've seen pretty well everything happen. But what's happening in diamonds right now is just spectacular. And, again, a lot of it is to do with the fact that currencies are being devalued like they were in Venezuela and in Japan and all over, and now the fears of the banks. So, again, it doesn't matter what the name of the investment is. It's what's going to give you the best return with the least amount of risk. And at this point, I'd say it's Rare Colored Diamonds. They're doing phenomenal. The Argon mine is going to close. There's very few yellow flawless diamonds around, and these deep flawlesses are amazing assets. Again, the banks are buying them, so it makes sense for us to buy them too.
We have about 1 minute left in our show here, and obviously it was a crazy week with Cyprus. Yes, Cyprus is a small country of about only 1 million people, but there are a lot of ties that go into that country, and that is banks, European banks being tied in. And it was really unprecedented that they said depositors would lose their money. And I'd like to repeat the quotes if people missed it off the top of the show. John Malden says, own things they can't print. It's a very important lesson. If you happen to be a Cypriot and you had your money in gold, silver, platinum, or palladium, all of the events which took place over the last week would be extraordinary to witness, but not relevant to your financial position. Also, do not trust in your government to look after you. Begin to trust yourself. By all means, have some currency, but also have financial assets that aren't simultaneously somebody else's liability. Own some bullion. It's important. That from Rick Rule. We can't stress that enough. Now is the time to have an allocation of hard assets. And Harold, with about 30 seconds left, what a crazy week.
You bet. But again, everything seems to make sense at this particular point. And again, the last thing I would recommend is taking unnecessary risks at this time, because again, the markets just aren't conducive to giving that money back to you. So strongest recommendation, own some hard assets, some gold, some silver, some diamonds in combination with other assets, and let's just sit back and let's see how things unfold. I like the opportunity to be in the diamond market. It's a phenomenal market to be in at this time.
Thank you very much, Harold Siegel.
It's my pleasure. I wish everybody a wonderful weekend and a very profitable day.
Speak with Worldwide Precious Metals, the company Harold recommends you use. Start your own precious metals investment account today. Let them educate you as to why you need gold, silver, platinum, and palladium in your portfolio. Connect with them, wwpmc.com, telephone number 1-866-623-2002. You can speak with Harold at 1-800-432-1022 about diamonds or rarecoloreddiamonds.com. And don't forget, be a part of that seminar on April the 3rd, 6 o'clock Mountain, 8 Eastern. Sign up at rarecoloreddiamonds.com today. That's it. Another edition of the World Financial Report on radio with Harold Siegel and me, Randy Marshall. We will talk to you next week.